Hello, and welcome to the Bot Nirvana podcast, where we dive into all things software automation. I'm your host, Nandan Mullakra. While I'm not podcasting, I write articles on nandan.info. I hope you enjoy the show. Let's get right into it. On today's podcast, we have Adam Bujak. He's the co-founder and CEO of Kyp.ai. Kyp provides process, people, and technology intelligence for your digital transformation. In this chat, we discuss about the evolution of Kyp and how they differ from others by providing actionable insights quickly. I enjoyed having this chat and hope you enjoy listening as well. Hi Adam, welcome to the Bot Nirvana podcast. Thanks for taking time today. Let's start with a quick personal intro about yourself.
Thank you for having me. Very simple. I'm a former global head of process excellence and intelligent automation at Capgemini, where I spent in my last stint more than 13 years. A little bit on the individual front. I lived on 3 continents already in 6 different countries. I hold PhD in strategic management. I'm currently living in Germany, happily married, and a father of 2. And on top of it, I'm the CEO of Kyp.ai.
What an impressive profile that is. Wow. So yeah, Kyp.ai. And I think that's an interesting take, right, on process mining and task mining, a really new and upcoming area. So can you tell us about Kyp.ai, how it came into being and how it is right now?
Absolutely. This is about 4 founders.
Okay.
2 with consulting background and 2 more with hands-on tech deployment background, right? So perfect mix for a challenge like this. And, KYC is a very popular term. Now your customer is used all over the place. And we thought, it is a surprise that nobody is using KYP. And KYP on our side stands for know your process, know your potential, know your people. And that's why we decided to take this abbreviation and bring it to the world.
Oh, that's an interesting name. I didn't guess it, honestly. I was wondering what KYP is. So, and it's 3 Ps, and oh, that's interesting. So you all got together, and how did you decide that you want to target the process intelligence area?
Very simple. What we were struggling with was pretty straightforward. The consulting guys on the founding team, they were usually talking to customers, discussing what are the opportunities for automation, building the business case, and telling, for instance, okay, you can build 200 automation artifacts with technology XYZ, and it will cost you X, right? And then I was called to deliver that. And the reality, compared to what our consulting colleagues did manually, was obviously completely different. Technology accepts only 0 and 1, and there's nothing in between. And from that perspective, we ended up in a tremendous confrontation between great science that is applied by consultants and reality that has to be there when you're building, for instance, a bot. You need to precisely replicate the steps, and you need to decide whether the deviation in the process is automated or not. Otherwise, the full automation artifact stops. And out of this challenge, we said, in order to resolve that in a constructive manner, we need to set up a company to address it in a data-driven manner, so that the consulting guys get the pleasure of moderating customers still, and we want to support them in the future as well. But the data-driven guys, the ones who really have to build automation, have reliable input on what can be automated, what can be transformed in the process on the process side, and so on and so forth. I can tell you more about Kyp platform in a minute.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's hear about your Kyp platform.
Okay, so let me start with the overarching vision. We basically set ourselves an ambition to enable the future of work. What do I mean? I mean by that unlocking new ways of working through digital augmentation of people and machines. How do I combine a collaboration of a human and machine instead of having an individual working on boring, repeatable activities? Right? So this augmentation and enabling the future of work is number one topic. In order to go to more details, we reveal immediate transformation opportunities. So, from my experience, and I've been there for many years, analysis takes enormous amount of time when you do it manually, right? So for us, the objective is to cut out the waiting and analysis time. Initial results must be visible within the first days after you went live with a technology like this, right? And this is how we differentiate also from the existing process mining solutions. With KYP, you're getting visibility immediately. There's no time to waste energy on connecting to different systems, making sure that your data scientists are hired first and then utilized, that they match all the components, no SQL expertise to analyze the logs, and so on and so forth. Next element is about actionable recommendations. In a way, I want to say that insight is not enough, right? Process insights from first-gen mining tools are not enough to define a digital transformation journey. So our actionable recommendations, complete with business cases, show you true potential and the effort required to get there, as well as achievable ROI. Ultimately, the question comes from the CXO, but especially the CFOs are asking this question, okay, present me the business case, that's number one, but then have you achieved anything? Where do I see the savings? We have invested 2 million into your licensing and building of all these automations, but I don't see 5-10 million savings on the other side, right? So how the ROI looks like. We want to move this discussion upfront and based on data, show you immediately actionable recommendations, not just process insights. That's an important aspect. Another dimension of KYP is no black box AI. You have so many tools in the market where people, when you ask them, okay, so how did you arrive at this result? They say, well, this is AI, right? This is AI result, and this is our algorithms. I agree that machine learning and different cognitive components contribute in a great way to the success. But for us, it is also about giving the users of KYP total control of calculation parameters, providing absolutely full transparency on decisions and recommendations. Some people call it explainable AI. We want to make sure that you fully understand it. And maybe last but not least, KYP is built by pioneers of digital transformation. We have passion for helping people reach their potential. We've been there, we've done that. And we want to make sure that this gap that currently exists on the organizational side, on the customer side, not being ready for automation and missing ability to execute is addressed, at least to the greatest possible extent, by our trifecta approach. We are watching people, process, and technology. Not only process focus is something that drives us. And we are coming from a very process focused culture. Keep in mind that KYP headquarters is based in Germany. We have phenomenal development teams that are building our product in Poland. So this combination seems to be a formula success that allowed us to win customers on 3 continents already, in spite of being a pretty young company.
That's pretty impressive. And you mentioned AI. It's just AI, right? And I think AI is the new SAP, right? Earlier, people used to say, it's just SAP. You need to do what SAP tells you, right? And so it's now like, oh, it's AI. It's a black box, and happy to see that you guys are, working on an explainable AI. So where do you get this data for AI? Is it task mining? Is it process mining? How do you get this data?
Excellent question. So first of all, I was deploying almost all process mining solutions in my previous career, and our major problem was integration with the systems. It's not an easy game, right? Yeah. Keep in mind that the latest deployment that KYP is running on Procure to Pay for one of the customers has 77 different applications. It's a global player, very successful one, grew only partially in an organic way. You have proliferation of systems. Integrating with something like this takes years. Yeah, and forget the stories that everything can be connected through APIs. There's easy ways to do that. No, some of the systems of this customer are not even supported. They are not able to interpret an error that is coming when they build out automations that trigger certain behaviors of the green screen applications. We are able to read that because KYP is watching on the user side. We have a client that is installed to the machine of the user, could be also a virtual environment. And in this way, we are consolidating this information to show what is happening on the people, process, and technology side, allowing you to deduct the recommendations. For one of our global customers, we are building their command center. And there, we also have some backend inputs. But as I said earlier, it is not about obtaining every bit of the information. You need to find the relevant inputs. So for us, the fastest way to get there is the machine of the user and reconstructing the information. If necessary, we can complement it with backend, but there's no monthly or yearly integration effort that you have to focus on.
Excellent. Now, more and more players using the data at the UI level. And I think it's very important because earlier we were tracking the backend data, which was more transactional data, which was more, which was not continuous. Whereas you're actually looking at the screen, it's continuous. People are working on it. You really know the truth about it. And it's great that you're building that whole data set now, which is what you call, tracking the work, right? Complete work. I mean, earlier we were getting snapshots of work. Now we are getting the continuous work, right? So that's amazing. So you take that data, and you said you also provide actionable inputs, right? Actionable inputs. So it will be interesting to understand what are the actionable inputs you provide, and maybe some examples of how customers are using it.
Absolutely. So I would say that one of the key aspects. I'm not criticizing backend data, right? It is absolutely relevant, and we see tremendous value. You have to keep in mind that KYP is a transformation enabler, right? So we move you from point A to B. And with that in mind, you need to take into consideration that from KYP side, looking at the trifecta of inputs, you have data like people pulse, what is happening in the organization, how the two teams, for instance, delivering and MDM, master data management activities within accounts payable and accounts receivable compare in terms of productivity. How do I ensure that I am able to track productivity of individuals that are executing the same process in Brazil and in India? How could I learn from the best practices that are applied in India and replicated across the globe, right? So there is different aspects of the people dimension that we are covering, and then moving to the process. Obviously, we are able to show the process graph with all the deviations. We're able to tell you all the details on the number of occurrences, on average time of executing every step. This helps also Lean and Six Sigma experts to set standard times. On the process front, one thing that you should not forget is beyond showing the process graph with all the deviations, is supporting process excellence activities. Everything started long time ago with value stream mapping. You're trying to make your organization leaner. And with KYP, we are massively accelerating this exercise. We have a customer that was planning to cover through value stream mapping of all the processes of their organization in 2 years. And guess what? KYP enables it to complete the entire exercise with all data points. I'm not talking about selected activities on brown paper, all data points within just 4 months.
Wow.
But this is a tremendous value proposition. And now moving to technology, obviously we are able to demonstrate what is the coverage of technologies. You see the entire application landscape with us, right? We're also completely integrated with Citrix. So this is also not an obstacle. Thinking about, for instance, large BPO organizations or shared service centers that have to use it for obvious reasons. And from there, we are able to extract automation recommendations. So you know precisely where to deploy an RPA case, how to combine it, for instance, with intelligent content recognition. Lots of processes start with extraction of data from documents that could be in a PDF format, some sort of scans, whatnot, right? And then a robot can take over. But we are also providing much more advanced activities. On our first customer assignment, we convinced our customer with a recommendation that none of the tools on the market was providing. It was about applying NLP, natural language processing, to classify the incoming queries from their end customers, right? And on top of it, we're providing you visibility on the operations. So the latest surprise, for instance, with one of the customers was it was an interaction center for one of the largest food delivery chains in the world. And this interaction was happening via chat on Salesforce. To the biggest surprise, the percentage spent on chatting on Salesforce was only 4%. Yeah, we're absolutely shocked because you're assuming, okay, this is a big service, people are constantly chatting. No, chatting was only 4% of the time. Massive amount of time spent on waiting for an assignment. Massive amount of time spent of understanding the issue. So classification of problems could have been a solution, which we recommended as well. And very limited focus on the core value proposition, chatting with the customer. And they were wondering why the others were not able to show them the business case for this chat. But of course, the quantity, the amount of time spent did not justify the existence of it. So 1 million saving identified within 3 weeks of measurement, right? Actionable. And half of this amount actionable without applying any technology. And this is the power of the holistic assessment that KYP is providing. So we are helping to see operational issues, but also providing recommendations for the process transformation and automation. I hope it was not too long.
No, that is perfect. And I think, people discover insights, and I think that's the biggest value prop, right? I mean, shocking insights that, like you say, and I've heard this all over the place. Even when we did automation, one of the biggest problem was process complexity, right? Because when we actually did the automation and went back to customers, then we realized that they were talking about a process in their head, not the actual process. And only when they see the thing, they realize that, oh, that's missed. So I just wanted to zoom a bit into your automation thing, right? So in terms of the actionable insights for automation, what do you provide? Let's say, because automation is one key driver now. So how does KYP help with automation, especially RPA or DPA?
Very good question. And let me challenge you a little bit, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
Insights are not enough. Insight is something that you have to expect from any technology that deals with data nowadays. Right? So yes, we are providing insights like what is your RPA potential. Interesting story from the previous customer that we were onboarding during a summer break. They were pretty advanced on automation. They belong to the top-notch organizations being very successful at scaling automation. And yet, on an organization of 2,000 people, we have shown them additional 20% improvement potential on the automation front. So what do? We tell you where you can deploy how many bots. We provide the entire input on how to construct this bot independently, whether you're using UiPath, Automation Anywhere, or Blue Prism, right? So key players can benefit from that. So it doesn't matter which technology do you have. You can also take advantage from Microsoft Power Automate, right? Growing very nicely in the recent time. KYP tells you where to do it, but more importantly, besides all the details down to the individual click, you see the full business case. You see how it will evolve, and you're able to monitor the execution, seeing, and this is this action behind the insights. So we provide you instruction how to get there, but you also have complete monitoring of whether you're getting there, because the business case usually stretches over months, right? Let's assume you have a deployment that will last for 6 months, and you're deploying 28 RPA bots that you were talking about at the beginning. But there are a couple of challenges on the way. You need to get IT approvals, and I'm sure in your previous podcast there was enough discussion on the obstacles to generate the results. Yeah. But what we deliver is immediate visibility. Do these bots appear in the process, right? And for the developers, for instance, we are providing insights how it is executed. So there is no PDD document that you have on KYP. People are used to having a Word or PDF document with PDD, right? Documenting how an automation has to be built. Now you look into the system on our side and you know precisely how the execution happens, right? So the work of business analysts is dramatically accelerated. And the reliability of this information is there because the information is complete. There's nothing left out, right? So we tremendously accelerate, and through the monitoring of execution, you're able to see how successful you are with launching individual automations in line with the plan that you have selected. I think that's quite a value proposition compared to what I see in the market at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And actionable insights, as you rightly say. But again, I just came back from a 10-day meditation camp. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea, and I try and do it every year, where you don't use any device and you're just, getting your mind to relax, and you get a lot of insights. So I think we grow through insights as people and as organizations too, we grow through insights. So I think what you're talking about is all insights, but you're also having actionable insights and actionable plan for people. So I think that's amazing things that you're doing. So
I come from a global business, if I may complement that. Sure. And for us, getting insights was already difficult. That's given, but executing on that, right? So back to your metaphor on meditation, mm-hmm. I meditate, let's say, sitting silently for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. I'm energized. Maybe I have time in your retreat to reflect on, what have I done in the last months to be successful, and then there is this insight coming. The question is, what happens after that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you apply what you thought would be right after this period of 10 days, right? Does a reflection, does the insight lead to a result or not?
That's true.
And getting the results, getting things done is absolutely critical value proposition on our side, and absolutely relevant for customers. Business results is something that we are all aiming at.
I now see what you're saying. Yeah, insights plus action is the most important.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. Yes. So you said you've been on three continents already. So where are you seeing the most traction with KYP?
That's a very good question. So let me start with the geographical dimension. We have very good traction in US and Asia. And because we are based in Europe, obviously there's natural affinity and networking there. But I see that, and to my biggest surprise, that there's lots of potential still for next generation process mining, for transformative support of companies, and we are open to work globally. Capgemini has shown me or trained me on remote work, so it was a very good preparation, and I'm extremely thankful for this experience. KYP has exploded during Corona times. We did not expect such a great traction. I was used to living on the plane. Last 10 years was about jetting between continents. Then Corona came, KYP started, and I have to tell you, all the global deployments went pretty seamlessly, in spite of us not being able to be present on the customer side. So we have completely changed the way we operate, and that resulted in pretty impactful generation of insights and action, very frequently in interaction centers, right? So all kind of customer interaction, not only looking on the bottom side improvements, but also top line. We help to improve NPS scores. This is an interesting value of KYP. Obviously, finance, supply chain, HR departments is areas where we can dramatically improve. And when you start, back to what you said, a data-driven assessment, all your assumptions on the leadership front are being validated, and you can learn a lot. You had a perception on what things, what kind of things are happening in your organization. When you see it in form of data, you're able to see the reality. The most recent project was executed on IT service desk. That's an area that we are entering, and we see tremendous potential. Right, there's lots of money spent here. And we see, for instance, wrong work allocation, especially for global teams, right? Teams sitting idle 4 hours because they are not attached to the right time zone, in the other time zone, completely overutilized. So there's lots of things to be done that can be executed even without automating, right? And that is my greatest conclusion after working and building KYP in the last 3 years. In our journey, we have learned to question our assumptions massively. And we figured out that before you start automating, there is at least 2-3 things that you have to sort out, and you're able to sort out without major effort. And then you can jump to the world of digitalization and enjoy the journey. Data-driven and well measured. What gets measured gets done.
Exactly. And data driven, and being objective, right? So I think that's the key part of it, is that we are getting over our limitations. Like you said, you questioning your assumptions, and AI actually helps you make better decisions. So I'm so glad that you guys are working on AI and building this whole data, and it's a whole lot of new providers, and I really love this space. So just in terms of AI, and since you're in this AI space, what are you more excited about? And both in terms of KYP, I think KYP has a roadmap, and in terms of just generic AI, what excites you most?
That's a very interesting question. And obviously, this will be now very personal. So from KYP perspective, human augmentation, clearly, how do I support us in focusing on what matters to the result, and utilizing in the best possible way our cognitive capabilities. I'm talking about human cognitive capabilities. and leaving the rest to the machines. Now, AI is a very broad area, and if I'm to talk about application of artificial intelligence, for me personally, the vehicular detection and crash avoidance was one of the most relevant impacts that I benefited from personally. And I'll explain why. In Germany, you have no speed limits on the highway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And imagine me coming from Hong Kong on Friday night. Usually you land in Frankfurt in the morning. You're completely destroyed because you're in a different time zone. You have another connecting flight to Berlin where I live. And then you jump with a family into the car to visit your mother that is 500 kilometers away.
Oh, okay.
Here you see the potential for vehicular detection.
Yeah.
Right? You're driving 180 kilometers per hour on a highway, and then you have a support of AI that allows you to keep the distance.
Mm-hmm.
It starts raining. You have a fog coming ahead of you, and some cars are braking massively. And you feel like your car slows down massively, and you don't know why. Right? And suddenly you see, okay, everything stops. My life was, I'm sure, saved a couple of times thanks to these technologies. I'm a passionate driver, so not that I, need compensation, but there are certain situations which we cannot predict.
Yes.
And technology helps us. So that's number one. Number two aspect, processing of patient data. This is something that I'm luckily living in a country where we have a very good medical coverage. But imagine you're somewhere in Africa in a remote location, and maybe there is even an MRI device or any other technology that allows you for medical assessment. What to do if the individuals are not able to identify the problem that could help to save your life, right? So there's lots of AI companies that are focusing on detection of tumors, abnormalities, allow you to much faster diagnose, and then the diagnosing basically can happen across the globe, right? Doesn't have to be where you are. This is for me a tremendous progress. Everybody is navigating with Waze or Google Maps, right? Being able to predict what time do I need to start to reach on time to my meeting makes a big difference, especially in places where you have lots of traffic jams, right?
Yeah.
Going for vacation and being able to navigate through areas you've never been to in the most optimal way saves fuel, right? So it's extremely friendly to the environment, and on top of it allows you to optimize the whole experience. And obviously, we see every day new ideas popping up. So I'm extremely grateful that we are living in this age. I'm extremely grateful that Alexa is a device that my kids are using to understand the world. My son and my daughter, they talk constantly to these devices to expand their knowledge, right? I would love to have an advisor like this in the past when I was a kid, right? So from that perspective, I'm extremely passionate about these changes, and I'm really grateful that I can be part of this great journey.
Yeah, me too. And my kids also keep talking to Alexa. So just getting back to Kyp AI, and maybe we'll end with this is how can people get started with Kyp.ai? It's pretty exciting platform. How can they start? And also not just not just customers, but like people, enthusiasts who want to look at it. And nowadays, community is a big thing, right? And UiPath's what it is because of its community. So, how do you enable a community for Kyp Ai?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree that being able to validate quickly what the technology is all about is the essence, right? So the good news is for all corporate customers, we are able to show you the results within days,
Right.
or weeks. As far as the community is concerned, warm regards to Daniel Dines from UiPath. I was visiting them when they had 6 people in Bucharest. I still cherish memories of these days, and they have grown in a phenomenal way.
Right.
And obviously, we have ambition to complement what they have done, because keep in mind that automation technologies are complemented by what companies like Kyp Ai are doing. So the community version is of course planned. It will come in 2022. We have already our certification program established for corporations that buy from us. It works very well. So I think waiting will be appreciated, and it's going to come earlier than you think. And we absolutely welcome all community insights, and seeing the excitement on the customer side, on our partner side. I have no doubt that also individuals will like what we do.
Excellent. Lastly, Adam, if people want to personally connect with you, how can they do that?
I am open to have all kind of interactions with interested individuals. You can find all details on kyp.ai website. I'm also visible on LinkedIn. There's lots of activities. On LinkedIn, I have a doctor in front of my name. That's part of the name in Germany. So you have dr. Adam Bujak. That's how you find me. And that's probably the easiest way to connect. I'm really looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today, Adam.
Thank you very much, Nandan, and warm regards, obviously, to all listeners.
Thank you for joining the Bot Nirvana podcast. Appreciate if you can leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Catch the show notes on botnirvana.org. While you're there, feel free to explore more automation ideas, tutorials, tools, and more. See you next time.